Hello everybody, Elizabeth here with Country Peony and welcome to Coffee and Crafting. We are on episode 32 and today we're going to be making a beautiful spring craft and it is a DIY daisy wreath, and I love this project so much because it showcases how you can take a floral arrangement or something else that you have lying around. You can glue it to a wreath and you can make the prettiest wreath. So today, the beauty with today's project also is that you only need a couple of ingredients. So this is a very rare occasion for my Coffee and Crafting segment where I do not actually have a finished product to show you. And so we're actually going to be making this together, which I find also really exciting. So for this project, you're going to need a wreath frame. And this is a 14-inch wreath frame. And so it's just a metal wreath frame. And what I did this morning to prep for today's live, I actually wrapped it in 1 1/4 inch satin ribbon. But you can use any kind of ribbon you have. The reason behind this is when we add the flowers to it, you're not going to see that wreath. It just creates a beautiful base for your flowers, and it's just a really great way to start your wreath. So you're going to need a wire wreath frame. I got mine from Dollar Tree for $1. This is a 14-inch wreath frame, and then just some satin ribbon. So I used about 6 yards of ribbon when I was wrapping around my wreath frame. And that is one thing, because there have been so many times where I only buy one ribbon and I end up using it all and I don't have enough to go around. So making sure that you stock up on your ribbons. And this is just a very simple satin ribbon. You don't have to get fancy with this because it's really just going to be the base for your wreath. Okay? And then the stars of the show today. So funny story, well, not too funny, but on my Facebook page, I asked y'all a couple of weeks ago what your favorite flower was. And a lot of you said daisies, which actually was a little surprising to me because I love daisies so much, but they're very simple. But I think that's the beauty in them. They're very simple and they just make you really, really happy. And so I've been really inspired by daisies lately. I felted a daisy flower last week, and today we're actually going to be making a daisy wreath. So I found this bunch of daisies at Hobby Lobby, and I got them for half off. And whenever you find your flowers, I do recommend finding ones that you can just pull off, like so. Because if they're stuck on there, you're going to have to cut them with the wire, which is fine. But normally this is your best option. And I liked this one because there were a lot in here. So you don't have to stick with just daisies though. Honestly, you can do any type of flower as long as it lays pretty flat. And you can honestly do pretty much anything. I've done lemons. I've done fabric yo-yos with this technique. It's just really up to you. Okay, so your 3 ingredients are your wreath frame, your ribbon to wrap your wreath frame, and then whatever you're going to feature or showcase on your wreath. Okay, and then the last thing is the glue that I'm using today is my fancy hot glue gun. This is made by Ryobi, but you can use whatever you have. And honestly, happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining me. Alyssa, I appreciate it. I would love to know if you like making wreaths. It's one of my favorite things to do. And so today we're using hot glue to attach our flowers to the wreath, but you can honestly use any type of glue that you have. I've already burned myself several times this morning putting this on here because I wasn't paying attention. But I like hot glue for this project because it makes it go a lot faster. If you're not using hot glue, a brand that I love and recommend always for all of their glues is Beacon. They have some incredible crafting and industrial glues. So if you like their glues, I would highly recommend checking them out. Okay, so now that we've talked about all of the tools and supplies you're going to need for today's daisy wreath, let's get started. So I already wrapped this wreath frame with the ribbon, and all I did was I overlapped it super tight, and every 4th time I hot glued it in place, just so over time it would still stay in place. And then the next thing we're going to do, we're actually going to make the wreath hanger that goes on the back. That's always something I forget about doing, and it's actually a very important step because then you cannot hang your wreath. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take the satin ribbon in the same color, and we're going to cut just a tiny, I just like to create just a tiny little loop like so. You can do, and the reason why I'm doing this because I like it to blend in there, but you can honestly even just use a ribbon. You can wrap a ribbon around the top. You can use, I've also used pipe cleaners. You can use yarn. You can use wire, whatever works for you. For today, we're actually just going to be using this, and I'm going to make this loop, and then I'm going to, again, hot glue it to the back of your wreath frame. I just want to make it so it's not real obvious, but it does serve a purpose. And I'm just going to trim off any excess ribbon. I love making wreaths because they are really inexpensive. When we started, I was purchasing decor for my first house. I was amazed at how expensive wreaths are. And I personally love wreaths so much. And so I thought, well, I can make my own, and that's what really started it, was just out of necessity. Okay, so you can see I just hot glued the back. Now, the sides, I don't want those coming up, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to take another piece of ribbon. This is probably about 4 inches, and I'm just going to hot glue it to the top of that bottom part, just so it stays in place and it's nice and secure like so. Okay, so it is very secure there, and it's just, you're not making a big fuss about it because it's just a wreath hanger at the end of the day. Okay, so now let's get to the fun part. We are actually going to be adding the daisies to the front. So I'm taking this bunch that I've linked below if you want to check it out from Hobby Lobby, but Joanne and Michaels also have a great, great selection. And so when I pull it off, you've got that little knob there. It should be fine because we can stick it in between the wires. If it does bother you, most of the time it's just plastic, so you can just kind of trim it off. It's just really up to you, okay? And all we're going to be doing is we are just going to hot glue it directly to your satin ribbon, which is why it's really important to have that base for the flowers. And these flowers are rather large, which is wonderful because you're not going to need a whole bunch of them. So I'm just attaching it directly to there. And you can see, since I did do the white ribbon behind it, you're not gonna, it doesn't look bad with if we just kept the wire on there, you would see the background and it wouldn't look amazing. So I like how it lays flat like that. So I'm actually going to cut each of these off. And I really liked this selection because they had some smaller flowers in there. And so I'm going to create some dimension and flow with my wreath by doing some smaller ones down below. And I'm just going to work my way around. Very, very simple. I'm going to have it to where they're kind of touching each other or kissing each other, but not right on top of each other, as you can see. Okay? And so all I'm doing is I am hot gluing the back of it. I'm not worrying about the interior. I'm just doing the base of this flower. And then I'm just going to press it into there and hold it for just a hot second, just so it does stay in place. And that's why I like to use hot glue for this, because it does go by quickly, as you can see. So here I've got a small one and a large one. This is a large one all by itself. But you're just going to continue to work your way down, kind of like a fun puzzle piece fitting in these pieces. And since these daisies are really small and light, it won't take a whole lot of glue to attach them. And all I'm doing is trimming off that extra backing so it lays nice and flat on my wreath. And so I added another one, and I added that one to the center. So we're kind of going back and forth. I try not to have a perfect pattern going, but you've got to have something to where your eye continues to wander around the wreath. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't need to look too perfect. So when you're going around, you want a little bit of movement. So you can see I just added this last one at the top part. The smaller one was down here, and so it's not going to be perfectly shaped. And I think that's part of the beauty of it. And that's another reason I love working with flowers, is that if you go out in nature, so I live in Texas, and we've got some incredible wildflowers. out now, and also people have some incredible flowers in their garden. I actually am really proud because I've got my own cut flower garden going on right now. It's not huge, but it makes me really happy. But you look at those flowers and none of them are perfect, okay? And so that's why I love crafting with flowers, because they are not perfect. And I think that's how the whole process should be. It should be fun. It should be therapeutic, and you should just enjoy the process. Don't make it to where everything is exact. That's how I personally like to create, and it just makes it really, really fun. So I am just adding, I'm going with small and large. I'm trying to create some movement. Again, not making it exact. And I'll just continue to show you. So here I did them, the two back together, and then I'm going to put another one all by itself here. And again, I'm just cutting off the back. It just creates a flatter base so that your flower isn't stuck high up on top of that wreath frame. And I love this look, especially with the daisies, because as I mentioned, daisies are a very simple flower. But that's their beauty, right? So they're very simple and sweet and happy. And so I'm not going to overpower that with a bunch of other baubles. I'm not even going to put a bow on this one. I think the beauty is in the daisies themselves. And so I'm going to let them shine as they are. Okay, so you can see it's starting to come together. It's going to be so cute. I'm so excited. I had mentioned at the beginning that this is the first time I've ever done this. So I was curious to see what it was going to look like as well. Which in my head I was thinking maybe that's not such a good idea, because what if it doesn't turn out? But that's part of the beauty of it, of creating. You never know what you're going to get. Okay, so I'm done with those, so I'm just going to peel a couple more off. But I gathered 2 bunches, but I think we're going to have plenty for this. So I think this is going to be great. 1 bunch should be enough. And I did link the bunch that I have. I got it from Hobby Lobby, this daisy bunch. I did link it in the description below if you want to check that out. And if you ever have any questions, my messages are always open. And you can also email me, Elizabeth@countrypeony.com. I would love to hear from you. Or if you ever have any pictures of projects that you've made that were inspired by anything I've done here, I would love to see it. Because ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about creating and inspiring each other. Because here on Facebook, I've got such a beautiful community here. When I reached out to y'all to see what projects you were working on, I was amazed at how incredible some of your projects are. Y'all are very, very talented, and it was really fun to see. Okay, so I'm just continuing to do small, large, and then putting in some large ones. These, I like the variation of sizes here because, again, I don't like, if you did all of just a line of large ones, it wouldn't be as pretty because your eye needs movement. It needs to go around. And you can see I've got a lot of movement. There's some small next to the larges and so forth. If you were just to do a line of large ones, it wouldn't look the same. Okay, I'm going to do a small one up here. And you can follow what I'm doing. I'm going to post some pictures of this on the blog later this week. But honestly, it's up to you and what your heart tells you. That's part of the beauty of this whole creating thing, is you should just listen to your heart and whatever your heart desires, honestly. That's the beauty of it. Okay. So I'm just continuing to go around with these really beautiful daisies. I think they're really sweet. Sometimes I go into the craft stores like Michael's or Joann or Hobby Lobby, and I don't really know what I'm going to work on, but I just go in to get inspired. And that's exactly what happened today. I was thinking about my next coffee and crafting segment, and I spotted these daisies, and then I remembered that y'all love daisies, and I thought, oh, this would be the perfect project. I honestly had wanted to do something like this for a while, so there you have it. It worked out. And I'm just continuing to add these at the base. I am not hot gluing the entire flower. I'm only adding it to the base of the petal. And the reason I'm doing that too is for safety reasons. Sometimes when you're working with smaller areas with the hot glue and you're pressing it down, obviously it can get on your fingers. But also I'm doing that because I want that movement with the flowers. So I'll show you in a bit, once I'm done with this, how the flowers still move because I did not glue the petals down. So you can see the flowers are still moving around. They add some fun dimension. It's looking so cute. I'm loving it. If you'll have any questions on wreath making, you can ask them below, or again, you can send me your questions here on Facebook or to my email, elizabeth@countrypeony.com. I'm happy to answer them. I personally love to make wreaths. I'd mentioned I focus on more simple and whimsical wreaths. Simple being this one doesn't have a whole lot of elements to it, but it's going to be really fun and whimsical when we're done. But I focus on those wreaths because that's personally what I like. And I like the unexpected twist of, oh, look at all these really cute daisies on this wreath. And honestly, a lot of my wreaths I use on my interior doors. It's just a fun, unexpected decor item when your friends and family come over. It's really inspiring. And for me personally, because I love seeing them whenever I'm walking around my house or here in the studio. Okay, I wasn't sure how long this would take, but we are 3/4 of the way done, so it's not taking too long. It's going to turn out so cute. And I can't wait to show y'all the finished project. Talk about a fun craft that is very relaxing. So when I started this craft show, Coffee and Crafting, I wanted to create projects that's something you can do in less than 30 minutes, because let's be honest. We're all very busy, but I believe the power and the beauty is in creating and the whole process. And so that's why I focus on simple crafts. And we are about 15 minutes in and we're almost done with this project, which is so cool. Now granted, that doesn't include the time it took me to wrap the wreath, but that still shouldn't take too long. Okay, let me show you a progress shot. So cute, and you can see those daisies are kind of moving on their own. I'm just going to keep attaching the small ones next to the big ones, kind of fitting it like a fun puzzle. I'm leaving some spaces for movement to breathe. I'd mentioned them kissing each other. So you can see the daisies the petals are kissing each other so that you can see it's full coverage, but they're not bunched up right against each other, okay? Okay, let's just keep going. I'm excited to see what this is going to look like. I think it's going to be really cute. A beautiful spring wreath that honestly can transition nicely into summer, so you don't have to change it out right away. Those are the best kind. Something you can enjoy for many seasons to come. And then you can pull it out next year and just be so inspired once more. So cute. Okay. We are getting there. Again, I'm pulling these flowers off of their faux stems, and then I'm cutting the base so that they can lay flat on the wreath, okay? Because these bases are kind of pointy. And so let me show you what I'm talking about. So you could easily just attach that directly on there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off that base as flat as I can, and it just takes off about 1/2 inch, or not that much, but about 1/4 inch, and it'll make it lay a lot better. So as far as wreath bases go, I like this wire wreath frame for this project because I'm placing the wire hits right here and here, so I'm technically placing the flower in between the two wire pieces, and that's what allows it to lay flatter. But you can also use a styrofoam. With the styrofoam, I would still recommend putting a satin ribbon or some kind of ribbon over it to have a nice wreath base. Or honestly, you could spray paint it white, and then you could stick these pieces. I would still hot glue them, but you could kind of push them in then into the styrofoam. That's another option you could do. It's really up to you. Let me cut that one. And I also love to go to thrift stores, and that's where I find a lot of my wreath bases as well, because especially grapevine wreath bases can get really expensive. And so I love sourcing thrift stores for that, because instead of paying $10 to $15 for a large wreath, you can get one for just a couple of bucks, which is fabulous. Okay, we are almost done. I think I'm going to add one more down here, and then we're done, and I get to show y'all. And then some other things that you could do to make it a little bit different. It's up to you. Okay. That is so cute. Look at that. Oh, I love it so much. It's so charming. And look how it looks against my beautiful notary cabinet. It really stands out because of that brown. But I think it's so, so cute. And we've got the wreath hanger back here, so you can easily hang it. But we are at 20 minutes in, and this is the final project. I love it. I think you're going to love it. You're going to have so much fun making it. You saw how incredibly simple this was to make. I really hope this inspires you, whether you're using daisies or you're using another flower of your favorites, just to get started and to have fun in your craft space. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you feel inspired to make your own. And I so look forward to seeing you here at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time next Monday for another episode of Coffee and Crafting. Until next time, happy crafting, and I hope you have a beautiful week. Thank you so much, guys.